Hello and welcome to Read Aloud Stories with Mrs. R. I'm Mrs. Rosenthal, but a lot of kids like to call me Mrs. R. Have you ever wanted to fly? In the story I'm about to read, the main character, the person who the story is about, has always dreamt of flying. When he finally gets his chance, he helps to make history. The title of the book is Wind Flyers. Wind Flyers by Angela Johnson, illustrated by Loren Long. Read with permission by Simon & Schuster Books for Young Readers, an imprint of Simon & Schuster Children's Publishing Division. Great-great-uncle was a wind flyer, a smooth wind flyer, a Tuskegee wind flyer. His whole life, all he ever wanted to do was fly. With his arms flapping, he jumped off a chicken coop when he was 5. Then jumped off a barn into soft hay when he was 7. Uncle says it's 'cause he'd watched some birds fly that day. When he was 11, he paid 75 cents to go up with a flying barnstormer.
"It's what heaven must be,"
Uncle says to me,
"with clouds like soft blankets saying, 'Come on in, get warm, stay a while and be a wind flyer too.'"
They flew over the fields, over the lakes, and Uncle just knew if he could get a good grip, those clouds would be his. He cried when they landed, because then he knew what it was like to go into the wind, against the wind, beyond the wind.
"There was magic in the wind back then,"
he says. When he was older, Uncle became a Tuskegee Airman with the 332nd. He studied hard and flew in a war.
"Air Force didn't want us at first. Only 4 squadrons like us,"
he says, touching his mahogany face. And when his plane left the red Alabama dirt and flew in the air, he hoped he would never come down. He had finally become a wind flyer, a smooth wind flyer, a Tuskegee wind flyer, flying high above it all, never to touch the earth again, forever a wind flyer. When I ask him if it was a big war, Uncle says,
"They all are, but that's over now. We were something. Some of us didn't come back, but we never lost a plane we protected."
Then Uncle points at the picture of him and the wind flyers, those smooth wind flyers, those Tuskegee wind flyers.
"Young and brave and young all."
Uncle crop dusted some, right after the war. That's the only way he could still fly. The only way he could still catch the clouds and feel the wind. He says flying is different now, though. Faster planes, more people than ever. But Uncle says the clouds still sound the same. He holds my hand, and we watch new wind flyers jet through the clouds. Then once in a while, he takes me up, and we become the smooth wind flyers, Tuskegee wind flyers, flying into the wind, against the wind, beyond the wind, the magical wind. Author's note. In January of 1941, under pressure from the NAACP and other groups, the U.S. Army Air Force created the all-black 99th Pursuit Squadron. The 332nd Fighter Group had been formed in 1942, making it the only 4-squadron fighter group in the Army Air Force. These pilots were trained on an airfield in Tuskegee, Alabama, and thus called the Tuskegee Airmen, although the Army had no intention of ever using them in battle. Under pressure from the Roosevelt administration, the 99th was finally posted in North Africa in 1943. The segregated squadron eventually turned out 600 pilots and 145,000 support personnel, and they earned numerous distinguished flying awards and unit citations. The 332nd distinguished themselves as the only escort group that never lost a single bomber to enemy fire. To learn more about the Tuskegee Airmen, please look for the words "Show More" under the video screen. Click there and you'll find links which will lead you to more information. Meanwhile, wait, one more thing before I go. Great-great-uncle in the book jumped off a chicken coop and a barn, and they even sat on a barn. Does that sound safe to you? Please don't try any of this at home. Meanwhile, thanks so much for watching Win Flyers at Read Aloud Stories with Mrs. R. Until next time, don't forget to read.